Hi there, Lloyd Machedo, Sweeney from LloydMachedo.com. Who's Lloyd Machedo and Think Personal Branding? Today the date is 5:40 in the morning. The time is 5:40 in the morning. The date is 2nd January 2018. All right, I got this question on my Facebook fan page or Facebook business page. I'll just give you the exact question, and I'll give you the name of the gentleman who sent me this question. The question is from a young man. Okay, do not know his age, but his question is Amen IDK. Okay, he says, I hope you're having a great day. I would like you to answer this small question where my school friends have asked me repeatedly to ask you. How can we be a successful reader? My friends struggle reading for 15 minutes straight. How can we develop the reading for a longer period of time? Now, thanks, Ayman IDK, has asked me this question. Okay, and he is from California. Okay, says he's from California, lives in Dubai from New Delhi, so I do not know which part is true. So I don't know which part is true. Anyway, he says he's from California. He went to Apple company. He studies in California, worked in Hong Kong. So I think it's pretty much fake details. Anyway, let me answer the question. See, the first thing what you need to understand is, which you have said is, my friends struggle to read for 15 minutes straight. The reason why you struggle to read for 15 minutes straight is because you are in a era where whenever you get bored, whenever you have something to do, you'll automatically take your smartphone, you'll start checking WhatsApp, you'll start checking the internet, you'll start playing a video game, you'll start checking YouTube videos, you'll start sending someone a message. So when you have a device, and when you're in an internet era or a social media era where it doesn't allow you to sit still and just think or sit and do something productive, you are always distracted. You're looking for immediate gratification. So that is why when you have to study or when you have to read, the most important rule that I follow is make sure that your smartphone is not kept near you, or your smartphone is on an airplane mode or switch off mode and there's no internet. Like, for example, unfortunately, the work that I do is online. So even if I'm doing the work, I will be, gravitating towards watching a YouTube video or checking up on my WhatsApp or my Facebook or my Messenger, or notifications keep popping up. So it's very hard for me to focus and concentrate. So if I have to read a book, I make sure that my phone is kept away and I'm focusing. So now I'll give you a demo, an example, how to show you the book that I'm reading. Now, this is currently the book that I have to read, What to Expect When You're Expecting. Okay, this is a book. The reason I'm reading this book is because my wife is pregnant. She is 25, I'm 40, and she's pregnant with my first ever baby. Now, this is not a book I would normally like to read. It's with regards to a woman. It's with regards to how a woman feels, but I need to read it. So the first most important tip that I'll give you is you should have an immediate purpose. Like, let's say, for example, you are 20 years old, and if I give you a book, what lessons that or strategies for someone who has crossed 40 or 50 years old, I don't think you'd be very motivated to read that book. But if I were to give you a book on how to score points with girls, a teenage edition or something like that, you'd be very interested to read. Or if I'd say what tips for a youngster to become a millionaire automatically or easily, so that would relate to you. So read a book that relates to you, and read a book that gives you an immediate benefit. Like, let's say, how can you be more popular with your friends? That would be a book that would interest you if you want to be popular with your friends. So find out a book that is of interest to you and that gives you an immediate benefit. That is the first strategy that I would recommend. The second thing is, Now, after you found the book that you need to read, that is of immediate interest to you and something that will give you a benefit immediately, you need to give yourself a target. Now, a book like this, now this book has 600 and I'll tell you the exact, it has something around 603 pages. Okay, now 603 pages till pregnancy date. This is trying again after pregnancy loss. Pretty depressing. Okay, 603 pages. Now 600, so if you say roughly 600 pages, if I wanted to finish this book in 20 days, I need to read 30 pages per day. If I want to read this book within 6 days, I need to read 100 pages a day. So first and foremost is you divide, give yourself a target. Now what I've done is I've given myself a target that I would read roughly 100 pages a day. So now I've put the yellow post-it. So I've given myself a realistic target, and then I have kept these many pages that I will read these many pages. Now you need to give yourself a target. If you want to complete a book, give yourself a target that I will read so many pages in so many days. Now if you are not capable of reading, let's say even 100 pages, giving yourself a target of 100 doesn't make sense. So if your capacity is reading 100, let's say you can read 100 pages, then give yourself a target, I would read 10 pages minimum. And if you feel 10 pages is also like, okay, you can do it, give yourself an even lesser target of say 5 pages. Okay, so my minimum that I can read easily without any problems is, let's say, 1 paragraph. So 1 paragraph would be something from here. Okay, this would be, around say one whole paragraph of a book. So it's roughly around say 100 to 200 words. So if I were to read a tiny paragraph, it would be like this. When you have a good idea of a kind of practitioner you want and the type of practice you prefer, where can you find some likely candidates? The following are the good sources. So read a small paragraph. It hardly took me like 5 seconds or 10 seconds. So roughly something like this would take me 30 seconds. So I know I can do 30 seconds. I just need to go to the balcony, take my book, just read it. 30 seconds is over. So you need to give yourself a bare minimum every single day. So have yourself a target, knowing that what you do, but also have yourself a minimum target. Let's say I'll read only one page or half a page. Okay, it's better to read at least 1 page. So what happens is you have a goal that you can achieve and it's easy. So at least there's a positive reinforcement that, okay, I didn't read 100 pages, I didn't even read 10 pages, I read the minimum. So to repeat the point, give yourself a target, how many pages you'd like to read. Okay, let's say 100, but give yourself the minimum target, which you feel is very easy. So if your target is 100, give yourself a minimum target of 10 pages. And that should be the target you should aim for. But however, if you have not habituated to reading 100 pages, you can't read 100 pages at a go, then lower the target and give yourself 10. Say, in my case, I can read 30 pages. Comfortably, I can read 10 pages. So if it was not urgent, I would say 10 pages, but I'd read just 1 page a day. So that's another very important thing you need to do. Now that's next. The third thing what you need to do is, I don't have my pen here, I don't have my highlighter here, but normally what I'd recommend people to do, sorry, I don't have it here, okay. Normally what I'd recommend people to do is, when you read a book, make sure that you underline, make sure you have a yellow highlighter. Yellow highlighter would always help. Let me just get it. Okay, sorry. So I was talking to you about getting a yellow highlighter. Now I normally tend to use a yellow highlighter. What I do is, when I read a book, I will mark the sentence which I feel is very important. And once I mark the sentence what is very important, I bend that part of the page. I know some people are very particular that they need to keep their page really nice, the book really nice, fine. So if in case you don't want to bend the page, you take one of the yellow post-it notes like this, you put it here so you have a reference. So, you open the book, you see where you have highlighted, and you can even have, that's why I normally prefer a big book. I bought this book from India, through India Amazon. I normally prefer to buy it from US. These books are larger, the font is bigger, and there's more space. So what I do is I highlight the part of the book that I want to read, and there is always a note that I can put here. There's a note, and I read the notes that I put here. So it's always recommended, put a highlighter, write down your notes, and you can refer to them later. So that gets you a little bit more involved in reading a book. Another strategy that I recommend where reading books is concerned is, if you read a book at home, there's always a tendency you'll look at the notifications, you look at YouTube, you feel like chatting, you feel like WhatsApp. So what I do is I go to a coffee shop where nobody's there, a coffee shop, and I go right at the corner, take my cup of coffee, sit down there, and I read a book while facing the wall, and I give myself a target. I will complete so many pages. So what happens, that forces me to read. Otherwise, I tend to get distracted. Another thing which I would recommend for you to do if you really want to read a book is hang out with friends who also have the same hobby. Go together as a group, and you sit together and give yourself each one a target. That interest also builds up. Another strategy is you can go to a library, or you can go to a bookshop and your friends and sit down and read a book. That also pretty much helps. Last but not the least, what I suggest is when you're reading a book, go for an easy book. Don't go for a really tough book. I mean, like if you read a book like Flow by Csikszentmihalyi, or you read Richard Dawkins' book on the selfish gene, or you read The Greatest Show on Earth by Richard Dawkins, or you read a book by Steven Pinker. These books are pretty heavy. Like even a book like Thinking Fast, Thinking Slow by Daniel Kahneman, or the books on nutrition by really scientific authors, or books on neuroscience. These are very heavy subjects. So don't take a book that is really heavy. Take a book that is light, like something like Chicken Soup for the Soul is only stories of 2 pages each. So that's fun reading. If you read books with short stories, it's pretty interesting. If you read books of the person you admire, with pictures, and it's kind of fun. So always go for something that is easy. Don't go for a book that is really heavy or is really very, very big, because if you take up a book that's really big, like Desmond Morris's Body Language, it's pretty much abstract, where he talks of body language, sitting this way, moving your head, looking at your eyes open, mouth closed, and it gets boring after some time. But if you read a book like let's say Chicken Soup for the Soul, which is nothing but stories, or Peaks and Valleys, which is nothing but a very small book with small stories, or Who Moved My Cheese, very easy to read. You can read it in less than 2 hours or 1 hour. Or if I don't recommend fiction, because it just sticks in a story la la land. But these books, if you read, which is easy to read and which is small, which is thin, and which you can relate to your day-to-day life, or something that is of interest to you, like How to Make Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, I think you'll be able to complete those books. So make sure that your selection is good. So if I were to encapsulate all my advice to you, number 1 is take an easy book, a book that is easy to read, like 100 pages, small book, which you'd like to read. Take a book that you can relate to. If you're a youngster, take a book on being a youngster. Take a book that you can use immediately, like How to Make Friends and Influence People is something that is very important. For example, you want to grow your YouTube channel, take a book on how to grow your YouTube channel. So take something that is useful to you and you can use it right away. Take a book that is small, easy to read. Take a book that is slightly large with easy to read fonts. That's what I would recommend. Another one is, if you're reading a big book, divide it into a number of pages and ask yourself within how many days you'd like to finish this book. If that is not practical for you, give yourself a minimum. Like I would read at least 1 page a day. That kind of doesn't work. That's actually not my preference. Rather, if you give yourself a complete target and say within 20 days, I'll read this many books and this is the minimum amount of pages, it's much more faster. And keep in mind also that if you give you a book, if you want to finish a book within a week, it's much more easier than if you say, I'll finish the book within a year. Okay, because you do not know how many things can happen. And also when you want to read a book, make sure all distractions are off. You're not in front of the internet or not in front of smartphone, or have access to one that gives you notifications. Another tip for reading a book is go to a coffee shop and nobody else is there. You're sitting all alone. You don't have your smartphone, and you give yourself a target. I'll read 100 pages, 200 pages, or whatever. Or you can take a group of friends and you can sit and read together and give yourself kind of competition how many pages you'd finish. And yeah, it's very important to always underline the yellow highlighter because yellow stands out, and write down your notes and thoughts at the end of every book. So yeah, these are the things. And another thing to give you an added incentive is put a YouTube channel, share the video with other friends, write a small blog of 100 words. What did you read and understand from the book? And that is what makes it more interesting. So I hope this video give you tips, tricks, and strategies how you can read a book, you read it easily. And I just want to say thank you to Eamon IDK, who is from California, who's currently studying at Apple company or something, lives in Dubai, but from New Delhi. Well, I always suggest have a real profile, don't have a fake profile. Anyway, so thank you very much, Ayman. I hope you and your friends find this useful. Do like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, subscribe to my channel. Share it with your friends, put a like, and you got any questions, let me know. Love to hear from you. This is Machedo saying goodbye for now. Take care.